To the same old problems, I thought I solved them. Fell so far, I broke through the bottom. Wound up back at square one, losing a battle that I thought I had won.
All right, this week we've got NASCAR weatherman Brian Neudorff, unofficially, but he's kind of official for us. Brian, good to have you on the podcast this week.
Thank you guys for having me. I usually spend some time on some other podcasts, but I'm glad to help out with all the people out there. These things are becoming much bigger of a thing, and I'm going to confess, because of the whole day spending all that time looking at the weather, and I had to be at work early this morning, so I missed the end of the race. I got to see I got to see parts of it, but man, I wish I could have seen that. I wish I could have seen that.
You're definitely a popular man this weekend with all the rain, but you seem to be a popular man every single time it rains. I know you were working hard at Texas last year with the 20-day rain delay.
Yeah, that's nuts. I mean, I've been doing this for, I think, going back to 2018. It's been a long time. I think my biggest one was calling the Monday night Daytona 500. I mean, I even bypassed it to the point where I was so confident. I said, no, it's not going to be Sunday night. No, it's not going to be Monday. It's going to be. And I think that's also when my friendship and more or less partnership with Aaron Studwell, race weather, kind of picked up. So those are the things that have really helped out. And then since then, we've kind of worked together and then created this kind of just it started off as competition, but it is definitely more a partnership, and that's what it is. It is a partnership to get this stuff done.
Yeah, and it's definitely needed. I know with rain delays, you're always looking for the Jeff Glucks and the Bob Pockrases to tweet some kind of updates, but then they're just at that point they're just retweeting stuff that you say. So you're kind of the front man whenever it rains. But I want to go ahead and just jump to the beginning. What got you involved with doing weather for NASCAR, and what made you want to use your platform just for this reporting?
Sorry, I want to mute some people. The Facebook Messenger was going off of my ear, so I wasn't disengaging you guys. No, so what started? Well, let's go back 13 seasons. Let's go back to 2008 when I started this. And like many of you, I mean, not NASCAR, but Twitter was fairly young. Okay, maybe looking at all of you guys, it was fairly young. I mean, you guys are very young compared to all of this. And so Twitter and the hashtag, and I was really embracing the social media platform. And I think it was a Pocono race. It seems like that seems fitting. But I was watching a race, and they were talking about rain heading to the track, but they weren't showing anything. Now, I'm no longer a broadcast meteorologist, but up until 2019, I had been. So I have 18 years of broadcasting experience. And so to me, broadcasting weather 101 is you don't talk about something and not show it. And so I just grabbed some radar and started telling people, yeah, here's the rain towards the track using the hashtag NASCAR, because hashtags were still in an infancy. But I would tag all my radar images and say, hey, here's some radar updates. The rain is getting closer. This is how far out I think it is. And it started to grow. Now, initially, I did this on my own personal Twitter account. And when I was on television, my numbers were going down, not up, because, well, when you're on television, let's just be honest, not everybody loves NASCAR. They don't love every sport. So I decided I needed a new account just for NASCAR weather. And so that's how NASCAR Weatherman got born. But really, this started as a NASCAR fan who happened to be a meteorologist seeing all this data. And it was, DW probably, and all them talking about rain coming to a track and then all of a sudden not showing it. So I thought, oh, hey, here's a niche. Let me start showing this stuff. And then it just grew. And then by about Watkins Glen, and before that, I have to say, it's kind of like around the same time. I didn't take off nearly as big, but around the same time, Jeff Gluck was reaching out to myself and NASCARgasm. And, he really helped kind of promote both of us. He kind of said, hey, why don't you do forecasts for this? And so I just started doing that on top of the radar and the weather updates, and it just kind of took off from there. The NASCAR weatherman, so to speak, was born. And then out of nowhere, I started getting attention from, drivers and even some media. For those who may not know, I did a brief stint doing weather updates on PRN pre-race stuff. I did some stuff for the morning drive on Sirius XM. That's another complicated story. It's not a bad one. Those guys are great. It's not them, it's NASCAR. But when I hit my peak, that was great. But then NASCAR meteorologists kind of became public enemy number one to NASCAR because they didn't like, I think it was the Atlanta race. It was the race that gave Atlanta the forecast guarantee, if you all remember that or know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it was when it was the first race they finally brought back to the spring right around Daytona. I don't even remember what year it is. They all blend in. But what happened was they ran, but it was a wet, cold, drizzly day. They ran the race. And you know what's funny is the forecast was correct. I said, they're going to race. It's not going to be fun. I mean, and you could have, I joked that I'm not a big fan of weather apps. But even the weather apps were saying it was going to be cold and drizzly. You didn't have to come to me to find that information. I wasn't the only one saying that. But that was not a great that wasn't in NASCAR's favor, and so they haven't been a big fan of that one since. I mean, listen, I love NASCAR, and I only want to help the sport. I only want to promote the sport. The biggest thing that I take from my Twitter account that I love, and I wish people at NASCAR really knew this, is number one, I just want fans to go and have a great experience. And if I could save them that, I get so many DMs, people saying, especially when we know it's going to be wet, or the one time it snowed, it's like, okay, I can go Saturday, or I can go Sunday, or I can go Monday, but I can't do both. What do you recommend? I mean, I never tell them what to do, but I say, if it was me, this is what I would do. Or I'll say, okay, this is where, and that's kind of where the odds of racing kind of was born out of. But I would get so many DMs, and then afterwards I'd get people telling me, you know what, thank you. You saved me a lot of money. I'm going to go back to races. I didn't sit in the rain. I had a good time, because I can tell you, my mother, who's not a huge NASCAR fan, but likes racing, went to the Goodyear debacle. That was the Brickyard 500. You all know what I'm talking about. Let's go 70 laps before the tires crap out. And she won't go back to a NASCAR race because it was one of her worst experiences ever. And nobody wants that. And that's not NASCAR's fault or anything, but when you go and if you have a bad time at something, you're not likely to return. So I don't want that for the sport.
Yeah, definitely. And I was at that Atlanta race. I remember vividly. I did not dress properly. I was cold. It was wet. It was damp. And, it was before I'd found you. So it was weird. I was driving. I'm in Birmingham now. So me and a couple of my buddies were commuting to Atlanta. And the whole way I was sitting on Twitter, I'm like, Gluck's not saying anything. Pock's not saying anything. I was like, I wish I knew what was going on. And, my tweets at him got lost about, hey, is this going to happen? Or are we just wasting our time? And luckily it worked out, but definitely what you do is so needed in NASCAR. People need to know what the weather is. I mean, you can get the updates every 30 minutes on when they're doing some throwback race on Fox, but I mean, these up to the minute details and tweets, I mean, they save a lot of money, and they kind of give people hope. But I know everyone else has some questions for you, so I don't want to take too much of your time. So Josh has got a good one for you. So let's hear him.
So the thing that we really encountered this weekend is it's the same thing that we do every weekend. It's what's the ideal start time for a race. And as a weatherman, I just want to know, your opinion, does the time of the race really have a effect on whether we're going to get it in or not? It seems like every time it rains, we always get this, we should do noon starts, but then it's going to be super early in the morning on the West Coast. And then everybody complains about 3:00 starts. So if you were to schedule the whole NASCAR season, what would be your ideal start time for a NASCAR Cup Series race?
Well, I like to tell people I forecast the weather, I don't forecast NASCAR. And I'm just going to give it to the science standpoint. Okay. NASCAR is a sport that is run primarily in warmer climates, mostly in the South in the summertime, with the exception where we're starting here in February, we go to November. But the bulk of what we do is an outdoor sport, and it's an entire weekend. The downside is if it rains for the truck race, to somebody's mind, it rained the entire weekend. And that's not, or if it rained for the Cup race, it rained the entire weekend. That's not always the case. But let's keep in mind, if you're from the South in the summertime, it could rain in the afternoon on a hot, humid day, okay? And that's the heating of the day. So, yeah, if you schedule a race right at the very beginning when we start to see those showers and thunderstorms pop up, you do increase the chances of a wash, or you're dealing now with the weather where it may have ended the race early. Now it's a potential right in the middle. So yeah, there is something to be said about not every weather scenario is like that. There are situations where it's not an afternoon shower and thunderstorm, and it rains from 9 a.m. all the way through the day. I'm from the Indianapolis area. I'm back and living in the state of Indiana, so I got into NASCAR and through the Indianapolis 500, being a Tony Stewart fan, 1994. I didn't go to the Brickyard, but that idea that NASCAR was coming to the Brickyard. I mean, that's how I also became a Jeff Gordon fan, because he won the first one. So that took me as a kid paying attention. 94. Yeah, I was late in high school. Yeah, I'm old. But still, that's those things. But I remember in college going to the 500 and actually going to a Tuesday Memorial Day. I mean, that's even back when they had the 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 11 o'clock start for the Indianapolis 500. So it can still happen. But yes, back to your point. If it was earlier, you would start to minimize. That's just science in that aspect, because we get most of our pop-up thunderstorms, especially in Florida. You get that sea breeze, you get the scattered showers and thunderstorms. This weekend was a combination of both. You already had a system that was going to spark showers and thunderstorms. They had rain as early as 9 a.m. There was a window, but they had rain in the morning. So I could argue for NASCAR by saying, look, it rained in the morning. That right there kills that argument, but it's not always that case. Every weather situation is different. But in most cases, I know I've dealt with myself, and Aaron can tell you horror stories. I think I'm at the point where I really absolutely hate Daytona from a weather standpoint, and both the 500 and the summer race typically, and because it's given me, I had more hair before that. No, it's going to be a tough one, because you've got not only the sea breeze that comes in off the Atlantic side, you can get fronts that stall there. So a lot of times you just get the perfect combinations that are going to make it can make it a wet day. And I've seen races where people will go, well, you were wrong, weatherman. You said it was going to rain and we never saw a drop. They don't realize that it was raining all day, a half a mile from the track. So the detail that Aaron and I go to, number one, since I've been a broadcast meteorologist and forecast on television for a much bigger area, I now work for the National Weather Service. Aaron, who was a consulting meteorologist and specialized, it is very hard to forecast for just a small point. And so I'm going to be honest, if I say it's going to rain, or I give the odds of racing, and I try to give it as honest as possible. I hold nothing back. But, it's based on that idea that, okay, especially with scattered showers, it could happen anywhere in this area. We just don't know where. We just know it's going to. And so that's the challenge, because you can go an entire day, rain showers within 10 miles and it never hits the track, or you get one shower and it hits the track and nothing around it. So it's just the nature of what the weather is in the summertime.
For sure. And you kind of touched on it in your answer, but I want to know, social media is not easy, and it can get rough sometimes with just people on there. But I want to know, like, from your perspective, what's the most challenging part of being a social media meteorologist?
Number one, not letting it get to you. And I think television, for all the years I got to do it, helped me out a little bit. For a while there, and I'm actually going to confess something here. I used to, early on, I'd say about 5 years ago, if somebody would attack me and I knew I had a huge following, I hit the retweet and just say something snarky like, oh, well, thanks. And then I sick them to everybody else out there. That is a form of cyberbullying, and that person didn't deserve that. And so I stopped doing that. I read something on that. That was one way I handled it. And I think once I read something on cyberbullying and realized I was doing that, I'm like, okay, that stops. So I just ignore them. You just got to. You just either hit the mute button, or you just like, oh, that's cute. Or, if you saw, it was funny because I know Mike Bagley, and I don't know if you saw the tweet yesterday from Mike, who was like, he said, come on, don't ask me about the weather. Just do your own research, look it up. You've got a device. And so I retweeted him and I said, if only there were meteorologists who follow NASCAR. And if I find some, I'll let you know. And I just, threw it out there. I mean, he's a good guy, and Aaron thought it was hilarious. And it was kind of more shameless self-promotion. That's why I also added wink, wink, nudge, nudge, because I didn't mean any disrespect. I was just, and they may not be able to promote us, but the fans know who we are. But social media, I don't have to feed that beast anymore. That's the beauty thing. And you're not going to see the NASCAR weatherman on TikTok. Okay. I'm just not going to do it.
So you're saying you don't want to do some weather dances?
No, I'm not going
Up your alley.
I actually went on and realized that my last update on my Facebook page was in September. So I was like, oh yeah. I mean, cause Twitter is such a beast in itself to keep it up. And Facebook's algorithm is just horrible, because I could post something on the race yesterday and they won't see it. Somebody won't see it until Tuesday. So, I don't like Facebook as a form of getting data out. Twitter is maybe your best. And I think that's also why, I do some Instagram stuff, but again, Twitter is for the real-time consumption of information. Twitter is, in my opinion, the best, and it works the best for NASCAR weather. And then Aaron and I have a system. We'll to help each other out. You guys may not have known, I was driving back from Lafayette, Indiana, with my wife, and I didn't do it while I was driving, but in the middle of the rain delay, I would just have my wife hit retweet of Aaron's post, because he knew I was traveling, so we wouldn't miss a beat, and people who follow me were still getting the information, and that's how we work together. And he may have a weekend where he's busy, and so then I'll carry the load. Now things are different. On TV, I was able to do this stuff while I was at work. I'm not so much able to do a lot of NASCAR updates while I'm at work, so I don't do that.
Gotcha. Well, it's definitely smart having someone by you to help you out in those times like that. But I really just want to talk about NASCAR itself. Really just ask the general question, and because I'm interested, who is your favorite driver? Do you have one? Is someone you just pull for? Or you just pull for a certain team around here?
Well, as I probably heard me mention, I was a Jeff Gordon fan. And well, I learned a long time ago, and this is, again, the media part of who I was and what I did for a long time. You try not to be biased towards anything, from politics to whatever. So when I got into became media for NASCAR, or at least through the NASCAR weatherman, it was frowned upon. I talked to a lot of the media people, and those were guys related. You mentioned Pockris. You mentioned a lot of great ones. Jeff's been a really good friend of mine, because again, without Jeff Gluck, there's no NASCAR weatherman. I mean, his promotion, he brought me on an SB Nation when he was there. I actually stayed on after he left. And so every once in a while, he'll text me, and a lot of guys actually have some, you'd be surprised by some people. I'm not going to name drop. I'm not going to be that guy. But I do have some connections through DMs and through text that people get a hold of me and say, hey, what's going on? And so I'll give them a little bit more information. But I learned through the media, don't have a favorite. I mean, I got in trouble one time because as a media person, I'm sorry, all of these years start to blend together. So I'm horrible when I'm telling these stories about what year it was. But I want to say, and somebody's going to get on me and get on you guys and say, that weatherman doesn't know what he's talking about. But I think it was either I definitely know, I think Stewart was involved in a championship. It was either Stewart and, Edwards. It was either Stewart and Edwards, or Stewart. I think it was Stewart and Edwards and Harvick was a long shot. Okay. But there was a scenario where Harvick could win. And I may be wrong, but he was an outlying third driver. I think this was before, if you win, you were in. I don't remember. I'm sorry. But I just remember saying, boy, wouldn't that be a great story if, Kevin did this? Man, the flack that I got for just cheering on the story, let alone the driver. And so I was like, okay, I can't do that anymore. So I kept. Now, if it was a big race, it's something I think, especially once it was his final season, I decided, okay, I'm going to be open that I was a Jeff Gordon fan. And I didn't have a lot of, now today, there's some drivers I like, but overall, I like them all. I mean, they bring personality. I want to see success. I love to see lesser names succeed. But generally speaking, I just want a good show for the fans. I want good racing. I want good personalities, like anything. So I think now that my guy has retired, and I think it's the same way as with a lot of sports when you get older, once your guy's gone, once you've invested that time in a guy and then they go on, you either pick up a fan favorite or you just cheer on the sport and hope. There's some guys there are maybe some drivers I kind of cheer on a little harder, but I wouldn't say today I have a specific driver that I'm a fan of. I just want a good race. I want a good story. I want good excitement. I don't want a brickyard where they're only going 70 laps before they have to change out tires. I don't want to see a constant single file, racing the entire way. I don't want the dose and go, whatever the dosey do, where they had to be paired up that one year at the fight. So, like any fan, I just want to see good racing. So that's kind of what I want. That's it. I'm sorry. I'm not much great with the fact that I don't have a favorite driver anymore, but I do have drivers I like. But to continue that trend is I don't like to give it out because, again, I don't want people to think there's a favoritism. And again, going back, I apologize. I realize I missed something. Back to the social media stuff. How do I handle that? Because you see me rail against people going and grabbing their screen grab and sending it to me. Honestly, I'm glad people get information. I'm not the only source for information. And trust me, I can be wrong. Okay. We can miss a forecast. It happens a bit. But at the end of the day, I do my own work. It's not like I just go and go, oh, what does this app say? And then post it. I joked that I said for 1 week, I'm just going to start posting people's screen grabs of their apps. And that's going to be my forecast for the week, but I couldn't do that. But the only reason I don't like it is for two reasons. Number one, usually there's never a description of why they sent it to me. They're not telling me, hey, do you agree with this? Or what are your thoughts? It's just, here's a screen grab. And so then it feels like they're saying, hey, you're wrong. This is because it says this. And so there's no context on why they sent it to me. And the other thing is too, it is like, weather is not like Black Friday shopping. You don't get to go around and try to find the best deal or, hey, this is the forecast I want, so this is the one I'm going to buy. I wish it was that easy. Well, this app says it's going to be dry for the Brickyard 400. So, yeah, I want to go with that weather. I wish it was that way because trust me, and I said this yesterday, I don't want rain. It's too much work for a guy who does this for free. I don't want rain. I want to sit back like all of you and go, it's sunny. There's my update. I'm done. But, I've been accused of a lot of different things with rain, and I say this, and I'm pointing out a very, very, very tiny minority of people. Most of my followers, especially the ones that have been with me for a long time, but even the new ones, are just amazing. And I've really tried in the past to follow some people back when I can. If I'm not following you, it's not because I don't care. It's just, I've got 40,000 followers. I can't fathom that idea in my head still to this day. So I have a hard time following people back. But I'm the very small, and yeah, you get irritated with somebody, especially when you see it. Usually if I retweet in a negative, it's because it's like the 10th tweet I've seen like that. And it's okay. I'm just tired. No.
Yeah, that's definitely a struggle, especially social media today, but we're running low on time, but I've got two quick questions for you. So first one, do you buy into the vortex theory? And the second one, we do a segment at the end of every podcast where we give our dark horses for the upcoming weekend. So I want to hear your quick take about the vortex theory and who you could see as a long shot to win the race this weekend at the Daytona Road Course.
I wish you had told me that ahead of time. I would have done a little more research. Come on. That's not fair. I like to do my homework. I haven't been, because I've been not paying attention as much as I should have. So, all right, vortex theory. It's cute. It gives them, I've gotten to the point where I just stomach it. All right. Because I think I heard the best answer to the vortex theory last night, and that is it works every time they say it does. Okay, there you go. It works because because I've heard all the things. No, it doesn't work. Scientifically, it doesn't work. All of our storms, the storms that bring, the stuff, they go counterclockwise. What else spins counterclockwise? Oh, all the cars. And that adds, and then they talk about warm air lifting. Well, that's what a hurricane does. Okay. So a hurricane is warm air lifting inside a center of a counterclockwise circulation. So based on that, it wouldn't work. Okay. But it's a novel idea. And I can definitely see that because this used to be for short tracks of like Martinsville and Bristol. A lot of the reason why a lot of the rains seem to go around those tracks is they're kind of in a valley with hills and somewhat mountains around them. Scientifically, as air comes up and then back down, it dries out. So yeah, they were protected, but it's not a vortex because how do you explain races that actually get rained out while the cars were on the track? So right there, but you know what? I've become very tolerant of the vortex theory. Let people believe it if it's fun. There's nothing that supports it. And we've seen too many times. I mean, we went 14 laps before. Well, that one's not a great excuse because I think at that point they were already dealing with a crash and they weren't going at full speed when the rain came in. But still, how do you explain rain shortened races if it works every time? But it's a cute little thing. It's never going to go away. So you either have to be like, oh, okay, thumbs up, and then just move on to the next tweet, ignore it, or you're just going to go crazy going, no, it's not. You could be that really horrible and be like, no, it's not true. So, and then what was the other question? Or is that it? Oh, and okay, yes.
Quick dark horse for the race this weekend. So no one's ever got one right, but real quick, I think we got about a minute left. So just throw out a name and we'll see if you hit it on the hammer. This week.
I want to know whose side. I want to know what driver is driving. There's some drivers that could actually be good. Actually, you know what? Let's stick with the Daytona 500 winner. He's actually not bad on a road course. Okay, let's go with McDriver on this one. Why not? He's won. He's got the hot hand right now.
He's got momentum.
Exactly.
So thank you for joining us this week. It's an absolute blast. We're going to have to get you on here real soon. Make sure you go follow him on social media so you can, or Twitter, so you can get the up-to-date weather reports. And if he gets it wrong, which he won't, don't kill him for it. Thanks for coming out this week. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.